old Jay Mariotti. Oh, Jay Mariotti, come bring yourself out the dungeon. Come on out here. Come on out here to the You know, I used to never could stand your old bigot, loaded comet self, your old Sal Pizzeria mindset. Yeah, no, cause I always your old with your old roasty eyes. I knew how you really felt and what you really said. You know, you slurped Michael Jordan because he was a good black player. And I said it like that because he wasn't a threat and you like to keep everybody in place and check. So now here you emerge from the dungeons. We had you deep in the forest. You are like folklore, you know, because I really ain't paid around the horn no mind in years. And I remember when you were on there and Tony Reality, because the Italian Connection gave you the hookup and token wins, and you were the journalist until you put your hands on your former lady friend, and then you got dismissed. And we just put you in the Jimmy Hoffa box and never heard from you again. Well, I heard you on Substack or some subsidiary that you're doing podcasts, but I hadn't thought about you. I hadn't thought about you. You know, because I thought of you kind of like how they did Danny Aiello's character in Harlem Nights, just put you in that bank warehouse and just close the door. And that was it. Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy left and just put you in the box. Because that's how I always felt how you were. So now here you come emerging, which I haven't watched Around the Horn since it let off the air because it was too woke. That was your comments. And Jamel Hill, of course, chimed in and countered you and called you out on your loaded remarks. But that's what you do. Uh, as pointed out, Trump wasn't even in the White House until 2016. He didn't emerge until 2015. So what is Jay Mariotti going on about? Oh, I know he didn't really like Obama. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair. But what's he on about? Why is he making a loaded remark which we know what it really means? You see, say what you really mean. Do I look at Around the Horn or ESPN as too woke? And he, of course, he had a little side dish remark about Jamil Hill and Michael Smith. Do I look at ESPN as too, not even close? See, people took this term, which is an old black term, which came out way back in the 30s and 40s, but hip hop used it. But then these conservatives then come along and used it as another code word against black folks. So it's all on code. And that's when they say, well, we're not too woke. Well, see, first of all, let me say something to Jay Mariotti. I'm going to call Cap and I'm going to call him out. Anyone who don't understand what woke really is about and how it really implies. When it's really woke, when it's really, 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 really woke, if I can quote Andre 3000 from Outkast, you'd have a black boss. Benjamin Franklin money would be Aretha Franklin money. Andrew Jackson would be Michael Jackson on the money. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah, you wouldn't have to. You take slave masters off the money. You would have black bosses. You would have black history you'd actually be told about, the truth about sports, the truth about, black owners, black general managers, black corporations. And to quote Donald J. Trump, since Jimmy Otter wants to, you'd have a black job that you'd have to answer to. Yeah, you would. Yeah. That would be too woke. But when I look at the sterileness and the clarity of ESPN, Tony Reality been hosting the show. They are not exactly hardly woke. Jamel Hill and Michael Smith did on the 6, and that didn't last long. They tried to be somewhat inclusive, and they ended up with Sage Steele. You went from a potential to a disaster. You stuck with Stephen A. Smith, who talks conservative. His doctrine, he's not a threat. Max Kellerman was actually alert. I can't stand when they say woke because it's about being alert to what's going on. See, when people say too woke, they basically don't want black people to speak up on the real issues. They say, well, let's just keep it business, not politics. Even though there is predominantly what? White ownership, white general managers, and white folks who dictate the narrative and what you see and what you hear. But that's neither here nor there. We're not trying to make sense to a guy who thinks that it's too progressive. Even though He done spent a lifetime with never seeing true progression. Imagine if you saw true progression in totality. Well, you had to share the United States. I said united. I didn't say divided states, and I didn't say Jim Crow legalized segregation. But imagine if the news and all that really focused and allowed black ownership, allowed black general managers, not just happy field hands, happy dancing on the field, and don't have a say on the ownership. Imagine if Michael Jordan did get that on half ownership with Jerry Reinsdorf. Then would you still be lovey-dovey with him? See, because then it would really open up how you really see and feel. You want to really get woke? You really want to get it? Well, then you'd really get it, because then you'd have to. Remember, Stuart Scott had him shook because of the things he would, his commentary, and people said, well, he just talks to what? But he was an educated man. He ran circles around Jay Mariotti. You see. But that's neither here nor there. This is when you can get into your conservatism. Well, that's too woke. That's just too progressive. That's that's the kind of thing that is really how the folks feel, and they just come out and say it. They said what he been wanting to say. He just but I don't hardly look at ESPN as too woke. If anything, none of these plantations is woke. They are all the same. Because unless you have conversation beyond. See, when I see real journalists, they would say, how come Madu Rauf never got a chance to come back to the NBA? How come Oscar Robinson never got to be a general manager or be a commissioner? How come Kareem Abdul-Jabbar never got to be a head coach? I did see Woody Page on your so-called woke around the horn say, I'd never give him a job because of how he was to the media. That came out of Woody Page's mouth, because I used to watch around the horn. But Jay Mariotti ain't going to dignify that. Or that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. See? So when you really have a counterculture to it, then you can say, but you're going to sit here and say, too woke, when what have they done? What have they done? It's all political, and it's all geared to a certain extent. And this is the thing about Marriott and the cap that I call Trump and the white establishment that owns these sports and places have pushed the racial aspect more because they've been not inclusive. That's how it gets pushed more. If you actually treat it like the United States and actually put people in places and work together, and I'm not just talking about as a field and getting grinning in the box and token boutique. I'm talking about where you had real partnerships. Well, you wouldn't have to have the Rooney Rule in the NFL. Black hat qualified coaches would get their opportunity. General managers would get their corner. And NFL owners would get off that mindset that you ain't good enough with your money because you've been bringing billions, but you can't buy nothing. That's when you get really awake. But we let them talk in code because they really don't want to include you. That's what he basically saying. And I already know. I know how Mariotti is. Anyway, please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Hit the membership. I'm out. Peace.